Yeah, it was. And I think Ireland kind of realised they weren't playing particularly well, and they were happy to grind out the game. They were happy to not play off any of those mauls. They were happy to grind it out and just try and move it forward. I think that maul, Scotland actually turned it over.
Did they lose some organisation and attack with Sexton not there?
100%, and it just shows how important Sexton is. But it's also really important for Ireland now to learn to play without Sexton a little bit. It's going to be very important for Carberry to get an opportunity to lead the team and be able to have for the team.
We'll hear from the man of the match in just a moment or two, and in a sense it was hard to pick the man of the match actually, because there wasn't anybody who actually stamped their authority on the whole 80 minutes. From a Scotland perspective, you know, it's almost like let's rewind to heaven knows how many games in the past, saying, is that one that got away?
It undoubtedly is, for all the reasons. Listen, there was a lot of very good stuff. I thought some of the forwards, I thought Jamie Ritchie, Dell, Gilchrist, Gray, they really put the effort that was required defensively, we saw in the first half, was really, really good. And they kept that going in the second half. There was a real edge to Scotland's performance up to a point. But then if you don't have the ball, if you just can't get the rest of the game going, John, we saw that in the first half. The physicality was there, but so was the creativity. Second half, because there were so many mistakes, they just never got on the front foot with that momentum.
I think when you stack errors, you go error, and you end up from... At one point we looked at each other and said, we've ended up from Ireland's 22, and we're now on our 22, and they mauled, and they got another penalty, and that happened a couple of times in the game where we just couldn't get our foot and couldn't gain any pressure, any momentum, and another error, another penalty, and we just couldn't get going.
Well, it's very unusual to hear a captain or any player actually on the field of play immediately after a game criticise a referee like that. We'll talk, though, about a couple of the incidents in the second half where Romain Poit made decisions that were debatable, inverted commas, at the very least. That margin of victory means that Scotland get nothing from the game, so they stay on 5 points. Ireland obviously didn't score 4 tries, but in a sense they'll regard that as 4 bonus points because it's 4 away points. And they're in contention. Obviously, just by looking at that, you can see that there can only be 2 Grand Slams this year, either England or Wales. Wales play Italy a bit later on this afternoon. England play France tomorrow afternoon. Only 1 try in the whole of the second half, and it was an odd kind of try, wasn't it? How did this happen?
Well, I mean, it happened because of a combination of good play and poor play. It was a great breakout here from Carney, and a good tracking back by Tommy Seymour. And I think Blair Kinghorn here could come there and kill at his source. There's a chance there for a turnover. He doesn't quite get in on the ball, and then after that, you see here, it's poor ball, it's slow ball, the ball goes down. Now Joey Carberry gets it, he should get smashed by Harley and Dell. 1 high, 1 low, they both go high, knock themselves out. And then it's a good foot race. We saw Finn Russell in the first half with a composure. Carberry has a composure to Els. Everyone's talking forward pass. The ball goes forward, John, but it's momentum. It comes out with the hand backwards, and he turned a bad ball into good ball and then finished it off very well.
Yeah, look, I think that's another soft try. I think you can see Greg's frustration. I feel that frustration as well, because teams are going to score tries. That's part of rugby. But I think when you concede a couple of soft tries, in the Stockdale try, if you're an attack coach, you're saying great attack. If you're a defence coach, you're saying it's poor defence.
Any time you run through a double tackle, you're not happy, are you? So how many times do we see that when the ball bounces, the defence maybe stops slightly and suddenly bang, they're through. But Ireland, you know, they had a couple of chances and they just took them. That was the difference.
And at that point, of course, momentum has shifted so much that Ireland, in a sense, could batten down the hatches a bit after that.
Yeah, and they did do that. They played a lot of one-out rugby after that, whether it was backs or forwards. There wasn't a lot of complication to how they played. They kept it very simple, didn't put themselves in danger of an intercept, and just ground out the game. Jono here was loving it.
Well, it's what they had to do at that moment. You don't need to complicate it. You know, keep it simple, cut the errors down. They hardly made an error second half, and you know, it might not be the greatest to watch, but I think as forwards, you sit in there and you go, that was good, wasn't it? You know, we enjoyed that.
The game sometimes doesn't help itself in terms of, you know, spreading the gospel to the widest possible audience, because sometimes the laws can be incomprehensible, and one of those is the advantage law. There were a couple of incidents here where an offence was committed and play went on so long afterwards, with Ireland having 2 genuine scoring opportunities on both occasions, and yet the referee then ultimately went back to the original point of infringement. And that's surely when people watching at home who have no vested interest either way go, to coin Martin's phrase, that is crazy bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about territory and how far they were. That's a clear out. It's a mistake by Carney, but look at that. That's at least 20, 25, 30 yards. with a clear break that they then haven't had the skill, if you like, to finish it off. That's not advantage. That's advantage over, surely.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to sound like sort of, sour grapes at the end of the game, but I think the game now is going so much to the point where you get every opportunity with the ball at the breakdowns as well, and now it's almost going. I think it's going a bit too far of that. I think you've got an opportunity to score a try. You have to take this advantage over.
Yeah, a lot of the French referees will play a long advantage and go back for it. It's something we debated, and ultimately we probably agreed with Andy. It was probably advantage over, and Ireland got out of jail there twice.
Okay, we talked about Scotland's errors, and we've sort of put a few of them together here. And it's with every small error, whether it's a knock-on, whether it's coming in from the side, whatever, it just changes the dynamic of the game, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, so forward pass there by Finn Russell. It's a no-look pass. It's a clear forward pass, but a look position. Then you get a high tackle from Harley. Again, clear penalty. All that gives us possession and territory. Blair Kinghorn, great game. Eyes off the ball in the swirling Murray field. These things can happen. They just compound them. One mistake after a mistake. This is potentially a good turnover by Jamie Ritchie, but only if Josh Strauss gets out the way. So yet again, that took Scotland out with 7 points, the bonus point, and a chance to try and win the game. So all these things just compound each other. And Jamie Ritchie in at the side, and that's it. Just mistake after mistake.
It always comes down to fundamentals. The more chaotic the game is, it's the fundamentals, and Ireland did theirs far better second half, and they win the game.
But given the frenetic, helter-skelter nature of the first half, is that about mental tiredness as well as anything else?
I think you can get drawn into the chaos, can't you, sometimes, and suddenly you're chucking passes and doing things you wouldn't normally do. And Ireland did a good job. That's why, they did a really good job of going, we're just going to settle this game down, go back to structure.
Yeah, Martin made a good point. But when the game was chaotic, it seemed to suit Scotland more. But when the penalties came and the knock-ons came, it becomes a set-piece game. Then it becomes much more structured, and Ireland were more comfortable in that part of the game.
I think as a team, Gregor will want the guys to be more comfortable in that discomfort, if that makes sense. That's the way we want to play the game, and I think he won't use fatigue as an excuse. He won't use it. I think just errors, and that's the kind of fatigue and pressure he wants to play.
But even if he's not using it as an excuse, is it a reason?
It's a reason that we lost. Yeah, we made too many mistakes.
Killed you.
No, but it's fatigue the reason that you made mistakes.
No, I think it's decision making under fatigue, but I think you guys will look back at them and think, I probably a couple of times made the wrong decision. Sometimes there were, refereeing decisions go either way, but I think some of the ones where we drop the ball or a forward pass or overrun it is quite frustrating.
Let's go back to the first half then. Lots of talking points in that. I mean, it was if you joined us at half time, you missed a sensational 40 minutes. One of the big talking points was this challenge on Stuart Hogg, which actually in the end led to him going off the field. And the debate was whether that was a penalty. The referee took no action there. I mean, in a sense, if you watch it at full speed as opposed to in replay, it probably looks not quite as bad as it does there. But the net consequence of Stuart Hogg going off was that Ireland then were able to score a bit later on when there was a mix-up in the Scottish defence, and this happened, Andy.
Yeah, and so, I mean, Scotland have conceded 2 soft tries, this one in particular, because Tommy Seymour sort of stops the threat, but he tries to offload to Maitland. It's not on. He has to hold of it, and Conor Murray goes in for the try. Another soft try, which that's where, when we look back, he'll be very disappointed.